Welcome to my channel World News. Qatar Airways said it would go ahead with plans to buy a stake in American Airlines Inc, even though the U.S. carrier is ending their code-share agreement. American announced on Wednesday that it was canceling code-share agreements with Qatar Airways and Etihad Airways as an extension of our stance against the illegal subsidies that these carriers receive from their governments. Both Middle East airlines deny they are state-subsidized. Americans' decision to end the agreements, which allow airlines to book passengers on one another's flights, ramps up an acrimonious dispute between U.S. carriers and Gulf competitors over competitive advantages. Qatar Airways CEO Akbar Al-Baker said on Thursday that he was disappointed by the decision, but that it would not affect the Middle East carrier's plans to buy up to a 10% stake in American, announced last month. Our stock purchase request and filing is going ahead as normal, Al-Baker told reporters in Doha. We had to clarify certain questions of the regulator, which we compiled with. Qatar Airways sent a revised antitrust filing to U.S. regulators on Wednesday seeking clearance to buy up to a 10% stake in the U.S. carrier, according to the filing. A stake in American would add to Qatar Airways' investment portfolio, which already includes a 20% stake in the British Airways owner International Airlines Group and 10% of South America's LATAM. American Airlines CEO Doug Parker, however, said in a letter to his employees last month that we aren't particularly excited about Qatar's outreach and that it was puzzling given the U.S. carrier's very public stance on state support given to Gulf carriers. Anti-consumer American and other U.S. carriers have charged that state subsidies allow Qatar Airways, Etihad, and Emirates to offer lower fares and more amenities to long-haul, international travelers. They are pressing the U.S. government to curb the Middle Eastern carriers' access to U.S. airports, and the White House is considering their request, according to government officials and airline executives who have spoken with the White House. Al-Baker said that Americans' decision to end the code-share agreement was not in the spirit of the One World Alliance and that Qatar Airways had other partners in the U.S. who want to work with us. Qatar Airways, American Airlines, IAG's British Airways, Iberia, and LATAM are all members of the One World Airline Alliance. Al-Baker previously said Qatar Airways would buy American shares on the open market before formally seeking board approval from the U.S. carrier to increase its ownership. The U.S. airline's own rules require advance approval from its board for the purchase of a stake of 4.75% or more. American said on Wednesday that canceling code-sharing agreements with Qatar Airways and Etihad would not have a material financial impact for the U.S. carrier. Etihad, which flies to 6 U.S. cities, accused American of being anti-competitive and anti-consumer and said it was disappointed with the decision. An interline relationship between Etihad and American, which allows customers from two airlines to buy connecting flights on one ticket, would remain in place to connect passengers to secondary markets, an Etihad spokeswoman said.